Hey, everybody. Welcome back to RBL Weekly, the podcast where we break down the top 5 battles of the previous week. I'm Sarah Keller. Today with me is not Pat Barker. He is in Vegas writing jokes about robots again.
Who needs him?
This is the incredible Doug Fager.
Thank you.
Doug, how you doing?
You know, I'm pretty good. I'm excited to take Pat Barker's spot. I hope he never comes back.
I don't know how to respond to that.
No, I love Pat. Nobody does it better. We can't wait until he gets back. He's crushing it in Vegas right now, but he'll be back next week.
Yeah. No, wait, I actually don't know. I know he was gone for 2 weeks, and this is the first week he's been gone, so I don't know.
In the interim, maybe you get me.
Riveting conversation, guys. But our fans, you know, if we have fans, they would be familiar with you because you've been featured on this pod a couple of times.
Sure.
And talked about even more times.
Really?
Yeah.
I hope all in the best of lights.
Always.
Of course. What else?
Well, let's start off with a little question about Doug Fager. What got Doug into roast battle?
You know, I grew up roasting. It was kind of like I was the youngest boy in a family full of a lot of them, cousins and all that. And it was kind of like the only way we all roasted each other. And I also got the shit kicked out of me physically, you know, just like older brother stuff. It was the only way I could like win at anything, you know, like I could be funny. That I could do. And I could impress my parents and I could impress, you know, everybody, all the older kids, and I could get them off my back for just a second. And so that's kind of how I got into roasting in general. But then roast battle started at the Comedy Store, and I was like, well, that could be something. That could be something I could get into. And the first battle I did was not great. I won, but I only had one joke that really like worked. But then I like stuck around and I watched for a while and I sort of figured out the math of like how you write a good roast joke. And the next one, I battled Josh Waldron and I was like, I'll only do it if we get a main event. And because he was
confidence you have is
he was
just
writing the roast
incredible.
report. And I just knew I had locked in.
After one mediocre battle, you're like, I'm ready for a main event.
I knew I had figured it out, and we battled. We did a 3-round battle, and it was great. And then after that, it was like, oh, this is what I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love your confidence.
Thank you.
I'm envious.
You can steal a little. You're so you.
I know what you're trying to say, but I just mean I wish I need to be more confident in like taking control of things like this conversation and this podcast, which I am in control of today because we don't have Pat Barker. So today we have an extra special episode. We're continuing our premiere of our newest 3 cities in our Roast Battle League family. Last episode was Toronto. This episode is Barcelona, Spain, España.
I'm gonna correct you every time you say Barcelona. I'm gonna do that.
I actually speak Spanish.
Okay.
And Castilian. Anyway, we're doing the top 5 battles from Barcelona from their last year. These were not sent in a particular order, so we're just gonna show you them in the order that we received them. And Barcelona, if you had an idea for an order, I'm sorry that we let you down. But our first battle coming out of Barcelona features 2 male comedians. We have Chris Groves versus James Regal. Chris, I don't know where he's from. That's the only battler that he didn't tell me where he originally hails from. And James is from England, and he's actually the producer of the Roast Battle Barcelona. So this battle was in December of this past year, so it was pretty recent. So let's check out Chris Groves versus James Regal.
Okay, wonderful. Lovely James. When James was just two, his dad left him and his mum to go and live with a young blonde model. I know, what took him so long, right? But anyway. But his dad didn't want him to feel awkward. So his dad said to James, he said, James, you don't need to call her mummy. she will be calling me daddy. But
Thank you, Ketamine Santa.
I shall have to Google that one.
Everyone, this is comedian Chris Groves. He is 65 years old, guys. Give it up. Yeah. Not really. He's 52, but you did all believe me. So. Chris, how do you look more like my dad than my dad? In a way, I feel like you're me that's come back in time from the future to warn me what happens if I don't correct my posture.
There's so much more you need to correct, James, I tell you. Hey. By the way, James has a problem with his fingers. He does this, like he's got arthritis or something.
Your mum knows that's not true. If she was alive, I guess.
Just trying to remember if she is. It's okay. Okay. James is Jewish, but I want to tell you, James, that it's still not appropriate to go around saying you have a comedy show called Fake Jews. Okay. People are getting very cross if you keep saying the word comedy. But James is Jewish, but he's actually very generous. For example, he gave his wife, he paid for his wife to become a qualified sea captain. Yeah, and as soon as she was qualified, he paid for his wife to become his ex-wife.
Yeah, well, she left me after 2 years, but if this is what 27 years of marriage looks like, then I think I got pretty lightly.
Not married. This is what 27 years.
That is true. This is comedian Chris Groves. He actually runs a comedy course here in Barcelona called Find Your Funny. And so far, none of his students have managed to help him find it. Chris is not sure he knows how to write a punchline, but he has a hunch, guys. He has a hunch.
What hunch? Okay, good. Very good. Yeah, James organises this show, well, because obviously he wouldn't be on it if he didn't. He's never invited himself. So, let me just check notes. Yeah, so that James actually gave up a well-paid job in like public relations to follow his dreams of becoming a comedy events promoter. It's going great so far because everyone says his events are a joke. But no, basically, I believe in you, James. I believe you can do it. And this is a message for everyone, really. If you want to follow your dreams, you have to put time, commitment, financial sacrifices, or you can just marry James, and in 2 years you'll be living in the Caribbean on a boat.
That's good. It's true. Yeah, you have the energy of someone who fixes watches for fun. I don't know why. So this is comedian Chris Groves. Chris has competed in dozens of comedy competitions, but he's never won. No. The only thing he's ever been first position for is the rollout of the COVID vaccine.
Hi, James. What could you say? Be funny, maybe would be one of the first advice I'd give you. James is almost turned 40. He's about to turn 40, and he just got a tattoo. Not connected, those two things at all. The tattoo says in Spanish, it says, Vivir con miedo is vivir a medias. For those of you who don't speak Spanish, it translates as, help me! My wife left me. I'm a failed Jewish events organizer. You should have just got a unicorn, to be honest, James.
Yeah, it's true. You keep bringing up the fact I'm Jewish, yet somehow you look like you're the one that's escaped from a death camp. Very strange. Guys, this is comedian Chris Groves. Now, get serious a minute. One of Chris's teenage daughters is actually in the audience tonight. Yeah, awkward. To be honest, that's a bit of a relief to all the other comedians because we were all worried which one of us was going to have to change his diaper.
People did actually warn me not to bring my teenage daughter to the show because James was performing, but... But James used to be a DJ, and people may notice he worked for 2 seasons in Ibiza, and a lot of people say you should have kept going, done it for longer, tried it for longer. But James actually said to me, I'm going to read this. James actually said to me, after 2 years was enough to know that it wasn't working out, and that it just wasn't right. I feel like I could achieve more, and I just knew I'd wasted 2 years. No, actually, that wasn't James. That was his wife. Sorry.
That was good. Yeah, I wasted money on those sailing lessons, but I think the thing I'm most annoyed about wasting money on is your comedy course, to be honest.
Don't tell them you took my comedy course, James. You'll fucking ruin it. You did 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Okay, so Chris's dad was married to his mum for 20 years while secretly being gay. He eventually left her for a man 30 years younger than him, and then he recently died after a long battle with cancer. So he was a homo with FOMO, then a pedo with chemo, who died in slow-mo. Fucked it. Right.
James is not a rapper, obviously.
Oh, man. All right. First battle out of Barcelona, Doug. How did it hit you?
They started off really fun and funny. I was invested in it. I thought that they were doing great. They are funny guys.
Yes.
But then slowly it started to feel like I was watching like Waiting for Godot or something.
Yeah.
I was like, it just devolved into too many words. And it felt like, because they started so kind of fun and bright, it felt like watching the light of like a loved one leave their eyes slowly, like they went into hospice and you're like, you used to be so beautiful. And then it slowly died out. And then by the end I was like having trouble like process, like I was just like, it was so much word salad that I was just like having trouble just listening anymore.
Yeah. Do you think also, like, because they both have what I would describe as Winnie the Pooh narrator voices?
Yes.
Yes. It was quite melodic. Like, I could, if they would record a sleep story, I'm sure I could listen to it, especially Chris. He 100% sounds like the guy who does Winnie the Pooh, and
it's great. It's nice. I can get off the Ambien. I'll just play this once before bed and go. They were actually really funny, though.
Yes.
They are funny
Yes.
joke tellers. And I think if they can just get to the direct, like, just cut the fat. And some of that interplay is really good and fun. And you need to be able to listen while you're up there, hear the joke that they're telling, respond to that in real time, have a comeback off the dome, or if you've got some stuff in the pocket, right? But like, to be present, and especially they were doing that a lot off the dome, it felt like, and that's great. That's, you want to be able to do that, but you've got to come back to the jokes and get back into the like incisive, like pointed material.
yeah. I think they had some really fun moments with. I really liked James's choice to comedian. Like the first 2 times I was like, okay. But then because he kept doing it, like the consistency made it funnier and funnier. And then on top of that, Chris then was like, oh, he has this weird finger thing. And then James said the comment about his mom, which I love, a good I fucked your mom joke. And
which is great that they, and then it should have like, and then boom, back to it, like that little trigger that like it's a learned thing, I think, you know, like you get better at it the more you do it, but where you go, now it's time to go back into the thing, you know when that piece of back and forth is done, and then you shift back in, and that's just the thing that I would work on for, you know, that I would do a little bit differently. Also, Sea Captain, I don't think Chris made one semen joke.
I wrote that down of like, I fully expected him to say, and then she left filled with semen, and it wasn't. It was not the greatest punchline, but I really appreciated that it wasn't the filled with semen punchline.
I see. I'm like a sucker for, and you know, like I'm like, if it's there, you got to find a way to get it. Maybe you can find a fun, interesting, different way to make like a semen joke, or make it like where the semen part is not. It's not the main course. No, that sounds weird when you say it like that, but it's like, you know, a part of it, a subversive way to kind of get there.
Semen is only the appetizer for you.
Because you don't want to, what's that?
Semen is only the appetizer for you.
Yes, yeah. It's not the main, no. It's my own. So like, you know, that's weird. What? Why did you take me down that road? I don't know how to get out of that.
You brought up the semen. I don't know how to get
out of that without looking like a weirdo. But yeah. Just the, and James Ketamine Santa was really funny. If your opponent, has a dad who came out and left his mom, and then like all of those things, I feel like that could have been a bigger part of the story of the battle that he told.
Yeah,
you know?
We had two posture jokes that were great, and I enjoyed them. But we had two posture jokes and one joke about this very meaty subject.
And no, again.
Oh man, I teed that up, and
his dad loves a meaty subject. And he tried to do a rhyme with it. I love going for things. I try to do that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. When you go for a big swing, which he did, I always respect that. It didn't pay off. I think there's a ton of stuff you could do just in the more normal format with that. And like when it's such an interesting topic like that, that is a topic that the audience is immediately invested in, right? Because it's just like, oh my gosh, that's wild, and like I'm sure it was difficult for everybody involved.
Yeah,
and that's
especially like that guy was old, so his dad would have been really old when he did that.
Yes.
Like that's a scandal of the century.
Can you imagine
the 19th
dad
century
living alive for 60 years of your life, or 50 years, or however old Chris was?
Well, sorry, I'll let you finish your thought, and then I had a...
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, that was one of the things that I wrote down was James did the joke that we've heard, or at least I've heard a few times, which is the so-and-so is 65 years old. Nah, just kidding. They're only 35. But you believe me, right? And he said that Chris was 65, but he's really only 52. And I'm like, that's really not that much. It's not funny enough of a gap in difference.
Interesting.
And
it worked for me because when he said that he was 52, I still didn't believe that he was. I still believed he was 65. I was
too.
Like, wait. So it kind of still worked for me just because I was like, wait, he is 65 though, right? And so then I don't know. It didn't bug me in that moment, but I see what you're saying. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought, and like you touched on in the beginning, I thought they were both clearly like seasoned performers, clearly seasoned comedians. This roast battle scene is less than a year old. So I think all of the things that we're critiquing are, if they're as good as comedians as they come across, they're going to figure out the formula very quickly and
totally
trim that fat down real quick.
And I also think I completely agree with everything you just said. And one little small note too is like, and I think everybody can get in this habit of like the roast battle 2-step, where like you get a little, I'm going to start, as opposed to like set your feet, point at him, tell the audience exactly what is wrong with this fucking guy, and then like, paint the picture. But they were really funny.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to our next battle. I won't say it's the number 4 battle because it's just the next battle. The next one we're showcasing, which is Stuart Kennedy versus Mila Kopeva. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Mila is from Russia and Stuart is from Scotland. Ooh, this is going to be fun accents.
Yeah.
I am very excited to listen to Stuart Kennedy versus Mila, hopefully Kopeva.
Yes, guys, before I start, Mila has asked me to remind everyone, this is not a roast battle. This is a special military operation. I mean, we got to talk about it. I was looking up the war. I was reading about how it all started, and I read this thing about this Russian warship that got sunk off the coast of Ukraine, and immediately I thought of Mila, not because they're both Russian, but because they've both gone down on about 500 men.
Stuart, I knew that you were supporting Ukraine. I knew it. Was it you performing in that shopping mall in Kiev that got completely destroyed by bombing? You would be Putin's favorite comedian, I'm so sure. Guys, Stuart has a very boring life, so to escape it, he likes to play Dungeons and Dragons, where he can fantasize that he can have something that he can't attain in his real life, like good sense of humor, or education, or a new t-shirt. And then he realized that dungeon is a police station and dragons are other drunks that been arrested last night. And the game is over.
Well, at least I have friends. Mila describes herself as a bit of an animal. And I found out which animal that was recently. It is the Russian hamster. And if I can direct your eyes towards Mila's face, it's evident that she is clearly storing food for the winter in her cheeks.
Holy shit.
You just keep making it worse.
I'm your friend, I'm helping. Okay. Come on, guys. Your life is hard. Especially the year 2021, when he had to go back to his village in Scotland because his father died out of prostate cancer suddenly, and sadly it was not possible to find out about the disease on time. Also surprising because look at Stuart, it can be a result of a healthy sperm. And on top of that, soon after, Stuart lost contact with most of his friends because the mayor of his village decided to remove all the stray dogs from the street.
My dad is dead. Just like your ex-marriage.
I'm so happy about it.
Guys, one of the most popular car makes in Russia is the Lada. And I found out there's actually a lot of similarities between the Lada and Mila. Both of them are cheap as fuck. No one wants to be caught dead inside either of them. And they're both completely fucking useless over 30.
Stuart, you're making a joke about horse when you can't even afford any whore or prostitute. At least while they are alive.
It fucking costs extra when they're dead, man. Jesus, for fuck's sake. Storage and everything, it's brutal.
Hey guys, you won't believe that, but Stuart has a girlfriend.
Who said wow? Go fuck yourself.
It was her!
Get the fuck out of here.
So,
I'll wow you.
you should be proud. Her name is Kim, and it's a match made in heaven because Stuart loves Kim, and Kim loves second-hand shit. And once Kim went scavenging on the streets of Barcelona, and this is how she met Stuart. He was waiting for her just next to the container for white trash.
At least I'm not fucking divorced. Mila had a messy divorce. She lost everything in the divorce, everything except that fucking accent. Guys, Mila's hero is the Russian legend Rasputin. Right? All know Rasputin. Mila's taken a lot of inspiration from Rasputin, especially in her comedy. Because just like Rasputin, night after night, Mila dies over and over again. And just like Rasputin, a lot of people wish she was just fucking dead.
He's got a massive cock, did you know that?
Why did you look me in the eyes when you said that? Do it again.
Okay. Have you noticed? Like every time when Stuart's on stage, his legs are constantly shaking. Like you have a reverse Parkinson or something. It's like your legs are constantly trying to run away from your head. Before you decide to take another experimental drug.
Last joke. It's not experimental when you've done it your whole life. Guys, when Mila was younger, they used to call her the Kalashnikov, named after the Russian assault weapon, the Kalashnikov rifle. And they're both very similar. If you give both of them a tiny cock, they'll go off. Yeah. Look, I'll be honest. Look. It's like roasting Mila as a Russian. It's too easy, right? It's like shooting fucking fish in a battle, or as Mila likes to put it, like shooting unarmed Ukrainians in a battle.
Wow, Stuart, you're full of energy. We should finish it before the mess starts wearing off and you get depressed back. So I'm gonna do I actually want to see it, so I'm gonna do my longest joke. Kim, do you guys remember Kim? She's supporting me tonight, somewhere here.
Don't put your fucking hand up. Fucking hand down.
Kim was so kind to help me prepare, and she shared a lot of information about Stuart. And something I loved the most was what she said about his dick. So I think the best I'm just gonna play her message for you guys. Hold on. Okay.
There's no internet. That's the end of the round. That's it. It's fine. It's there's no signal, Vodafone or Terrible. You know.
It's just like Russian military equipment all breaking down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen to this, guys.
It's so large. It's actually dangerous. I don't even know how you can carry it.
One more time.
Was that the
It's
piece?
so large. It's actually dangerous. I don't even know how you can carry it.
I'm sorry. It's so large. No, it was not about his dick. It was about your liver. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me find about about your dick, what you said about your dick.
How many things about my dick have you got?
This one.
Kind of a wrinkly, disgusting dwarf.
Oh no! Oopsie! It's wrong again. It's about your mother. I'm so sorry. Let me find your Dick Stewart's dick. Stewart's dick. Where is Stewart's dick? Oh, sorry, I can't find it.
Oh, brilliant. That was
a great fucking joke.
that ending was awesome and unexpected. First of all, I love a battle that teaches me things, and I feel like I learned a lot. Like
just
about
like
Rasputin had a big dick,
for
and
sure.
then another thing that I don't remember, but
Also, I thought it was interesting. I mean, he looks like Rasputin. He looks so much like that was not mentioned at all. But yeah, that was really fun. I liked how Mila came in so excited by her own joke that the first one it didn't bang. But she like kind of had this lilt at the end, like it was gonna, like she was expecting the crowd to go bananas. And I don't know. And at first I was like, uh-oh. And then it got more and more charming as it went. She had great energy. They both had like a really fun banter. Stewart's really, I mean, they were funny battle.
yeah, I think for most of the battle, I thought Stewart was going to take it. I thought his jokes were a little bit more concise and a little bit more of a punch. And there were a couple of Mila's jokes that I missed a couple words. That being said, it was so clear. Like, I feel like we've watched a lot of people with accents do battles and struggled a lot. Like, she spoke very, very clearly. But then with the end with that fucking joke, and it just kept getting better. Because at first I was like, oh, okay. And I thought she was just going to leave it with the first recording.
Yes.
And then the second one, I was like, okay, now that's about his dick. And then she said, your mother, which was
I love a good
incredible.
Yeah.
And even the way she played it off of like Stewart's dick was so funny. Like she was a sleeper cell.
Yeah. Yes.
She's a Russian sleeper
She's
cell.
a Russian sleeper cell. This was in Barcelona?
This is in Barcelona,
these
yeah.
These were all done in Barcelona.
Yes, it was a different venue, and this one was this past January 23rd. So maybe they got a new venue.
And I shouldn't be surprised by like the quality of comedian roaster across the world, but it is just so cool to see when you're like, oh, this level of fun and comedy is happening, 10,000 miles away. Yeah, everywhere. Also, Stewart, I really liked the joke about the Russian cars. I thought there was the potential that the over 30 joke could have been, I think he used the wanting to be inside in the second part.
Yeah,
of
you
that,
finally got your
right?
semen joke.
And then the over 30 part, he's talking kilometers per hour, miles per hour in that last one. I thought he could have switched that and found a different one maybe in the second. It was still a really fun joke, but I think it could have banged harder if he had kind of moved what he used for the punchline in the second of the three to the last, but still a really, really funny joke. And when Mila made the prostitute joke and he came back with their extra when they're dead.
Oh, yeah.
Very great off the cuff. Funny stuff.
That's one of the things that when you were talking about, how it's cool to watch good roasters like all over the world. Mm-hmm. One of the things that is sticking out to me with these other cities that's very unique, or at least I would say actually LA is unique too, in that we're watching seasoned comedians that have a lot of experience doing comedy start to roast battle. Mm-hmm. Where in the LA comedy scene, it is mostly up and coming new comedians that are roast battling. And at least the majority. And it's very interesting to see how they're just so strong out the gate.
They are, and sometimes the seasoned comic, it ends up biting them in the ass, at least
100%.
early on, until they
Yes.
kind of figure it out. Because, when you're used to writing material and long form stuff with punchlines kind of intermixed throughout, like you're doing a set, you can come in and overwrite roast jokes.
Which we definitely have seen here a lot. I mean,
lot.
and even in the last 2 battles.
And but they didn't seem to have that issue. I didn't feel like they were very overwritten. I thought that they had a nice balance.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Stuart Kennedy and Mila Kopeva. Our next battle is Phil Varney versus Melinda Filippelli. Phil Varney is from Utah, and Belinda Filippelli is also American. They just said also American, so not sure where she's from, but so there's 2 Americans
Parts unknown.
battling in Barcelona. Phil Varney versus Belinda Filippelli.
Woo! All right, guys, I'm just going to come out and say it up top. You're going to hear some fat jokes, okay? It's going to happen. It's going to happen because fat jokes, like Belinda's tits, are low-hanging fruit.
Oh, that was sweet. That was sweet. I mean, he did start his comedy writing career in Pornhub comments, so kind of sad, but really sweet, really sweet. I just want to say, Phil, Phil kind of looks like the top of a Ponzi scheme and the bottom of an orgy.
You're right. That is good. That's a good one. I wish people would invite me to orgies. Plenty of Ponzi schemes, though. Belinda did ask me a couple years ago if I would be her unofficial younger brother, which is a very sweet moment. Although it was tampered by the fact that her second question was, "You have 2 working kidneys, right?" When I said I only had 1, she's like, "It'll still work."
Phil, I think I finally found that virginity you lost to 26.
27.
Okay. Sorry. It's true. I did adopt him as my little brother. I mean, I love Phil. I love him like a mom, not like his mom, because obviously his mom doesn't love him. Because she particularly prepared him to not survive a school shooting. Really disappointed in that. And really the most honest thing that Phil has ever done is get a vasectomy, because even he knows that his genetics are weak.
Fuck yeah, all that raw dogging I'm definitely not doing. Belinda looks like all the members of the Addams Family combined.
Holy shit.
In both aesthetic and physical mass.
That's funny coming from the Ken doll in a pair of gray sweatpants, even in a pair of gray sweatpants. I mean, the truth is, people like to make jokes about how Phil is gay. Apparently he's not. But the only reason, honestly, why I thought he was gay is because when I met him, he introduced me to all of his friends, and they were all gay. And I was like, oh, if his friends are gay, he must be. But then I realized, no, Belinda, you shouldn't jump to conclusions, because these people are not his friends.
The gays hate me. It's the Mitt Romney factor. Belinda and I are best friends. We've been best friends for years, and it's nice. We're very similar to each other. We're both Americans who don't want to live in America, and neither of us have a good relationship with our mother, and both of us are best friends with someone who's really bad at hiding how gay they actually look.
Oh, that's it.
That is it, yeah. If that was the first time I'd ever heard that, but it's not.
I mean, come on. I think it's hard to roast Phil because he's so adorable with his Mitt Romney hair and his clothes that were made particularly for him from Sears Roebucks. And he likes to wear polo shirts, especially white polo shirts. And I was like, why does he want to look like a date rapist? And then I realized that that's the only way that women will know that he actually has some sexual desires.
It doesn't work.
Last joke.
Last joke. Funny fact, Belinda and I were both in Washington, D.C. in 2017 for the big women's march. Which is funny because I'm obviously not a woman and Belinda obviously does not march.
I mean, since it's the last round, I just think that me and everybody else should know what is your safe word. Because you're dressed like a ventriloquist dummy, and I kind of want to stick my hand up your ass.
The safe word is Belinda.
Well, that was really fun.
That was fun. There are some battles where like it might not be a 10, but you still like enjoy watching it.
Yeah. And you can't really like point out a lot, like you don't want to point out a bunch of stuff wrong because it wasn't wrong, but it wasn't like, oh my God, there was one that stood up and made me run around the room.
Agreed.
It was a solid battle all around.
The Addams Family joke banged for me. That was pretty funny.
I liked the tag that he added too. I thought that was a fun, like a new way to tell that joke.
Yeah. I also thought it was interesting that they both made Mitt Romney references in Barcelona about the 2023 presidential candidate. Like maybe there's a better, or if you're going to do Mitt Romney, they essentially just called him Mitt Romney as opposed to like Mitt Romney in the blah, 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 like this type of Mitt Romney, like Mitt Romney at, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Like Mitt Romney if he were at Pulse nightclub or something like that, like something where you're adding in other layers of the jokes that maybe or the picture that you're trying to paint of the other person.
Yeah, to bring it more current and also like, once Phil called himself Mitt Romney, Belinda probably should have called an audible and not. Because, like, to me, it completely fell flat when she started with Mitt Romney. I also realized so the Barcelona people, they sent me, like, a little bit of information on each of them, but I didn't want to say any of that because, like, in a roast battle, the audience doesn't know. They did include he's from Utah and he's an ex-Mormon. So that's probably where the Mitt Romney thing is. But that's a perfect example of a joke doesn't hit when the audience doesn't have that information. So you either need to set it up. Not that it doesn't hit. It won't have the impact you think it will have because the audience doesn't know that information.
Yeah.
And I think if we did know that information, then the Mitt Romney, it wouldn't have mattered that that's from 2008. Like, it would have, he's arguably the most famous Mormon today.
You brought it. Yeah. Agreed. And one thing too, and I've seen this a little bit in all three battles, but this one I think it was the most evident because they had the books. Because they have such fun energy and some of the banter was fun, it's lost a little bit when you have the book up there because you're going into it and it's losing some of that interaction. We're in a fight here. We're doing, because you're going to have to dip back into the thing again. And so everybody's busy, it's hard to memorize jokes and it's scary up there. But I think that's the only, that's the main advice. Be like, to get the jokes memorized because then you can really interplay a little bit more. And even if it takes you out of it because you're so worried about forgetting your jokes a little bit, the stage picture is so much better and so much more interesting.
I'm smiling because Pat and I have talked about this so much with notes. And like, I am especially when we started this podcast, I was like, never notes, fuck your notes forever. I have come around a little bit more, but I think that's by the sheer volume of notes that I've just seen. Mm-hmm. But 100% I agree. I think you should be able to memorize 5 jokes. And if you absolutely need a crutch, that you have, keywords written down, but try not to make it a reading thing. That being said, I really enjoyed Belinda's energy and like she did a really good job of making those long jokes engaging the entire time so that it was like I'm on this journey with you and you didn't get kind of bored with like, okay, I've had enough. We get it. You're doing jokes now. She really painted the picture, and I went on the ride the entire time with her, and I liked that.
Agreed. Also, when Phil said that they went to the big women's march, I was like, "You're gonna make a joke about
Yep.
right? That's the you're gonna use that on the tail end, right?"
Same. There were a couple missed opportunities. I loved Belinda's Ponzi scheme orgy joke, but it took me too long to put together bottom. I think it was worded poorly, and I think if she had reworked it a little bit. And one of the things that I don't think we've talked about on this podcast is I think he looks like instead of he looks like. I used to do that all the time and write I think, and then might have been you that was like, no, don't say I think, make it a definitive statement. And it is so much stronger when it's just you look like blah, blah, blah.
It's one more degree of separation between, like you want to tell the audience what they're going to see, because they will see it if it's anywhere close. If there's even a shred of that existing in the person visually or just their aura, whatever it is, those, if it's in there, they'll see it. But when you go, I think, well, that's what you fucking think. I don't know if I think that. But
and I think comes from you're a good person. You don't want to say that that you look like an evil fucking troll. So you're like, I think it's a qualifier.
Interesting.
And you don't need that in roast battle. You don't need to pull the punches.
Yep.
So anyway, great battle between Phil Varney and Belinda Filippelli. This next battle features a return of someone we've already watched, Stuart Kennedy, the giant Scottish man.
Love Stuart.
Versus Marnie Manning. This was the third roast battle ever in Barcelona.
Ooh, can we make a bet right now?
Sure.
$5. Does he have a beer in his hand when he battles on this one?
Yes.
Well, I guess I got to take the other. I'll put $5 on that he doesn't for this one, just for the fun.
I'm gonna
just
make
for the
you
fun
pay
of
me
it.
$5.
I think I got $5 on me. Okay.
And Marnie is from Colorado.
Oh, fun.
So
Fun.
Marnie Manning versus Stuart Kennedy. Let's check it out.
Now, first of all, y'all, I didn't want to do this roast tonight, mostly because my mom was like, it's never funny to make fun of the homeless. Okay? I do want to thank Stuart for being here. It took so much effort to get off that island. I loved you in Castaway. Oh, you were so good. Wilson, yeah, you bleed on other things. I think you look like Albert Einstein's dumber brother. It's like, oh, E equals MC squared. You're like, E equals MC hammer. E equals ecstasy. You're a drug addict, Stuart!
Marty used to do a joke about how she fucked so many skaters that she got PTSD from them. I'm pretty sure she meant she got PTSTD from them. Marnie used to go to the doctor all the time to get tested for STDs, but she went so many times the doctors stopped testing Marnie for STDs, and instead they started testing STDs for Marnie.
Could you not play gunshots? I'm American. That's not cool.
James, where the fuck did the gunshots go?
No! God damn it. Well, like we mentioned, Stuart looks amazing. You guys, he really... I win. No, but seriously, you guys, it's not about just how he looks. It's like he cares about the environment. He cares, Like anyone else could never wash their t-shirt for a whole week. It's amazing, And he wanted the birds to live so long that he kept the own family of birds in his beard for the last 17 years. And Stuart, he never gets a bag from the grocery store. No, he doesn't believe in plastic. He's always wearing his backpack, even on stage. You always wear your backpack on stage. I'm like, dude, it's enough. We get it. You come with baggage. It's enough.
Excellent. Hey, here's the thing. Everyone makes fun of Marnie for having a marriage of convenience, right? I mean, everyone, literally everyone says it all the time, every day to you. They make fun of Marnie having a marriage of convenience, and I don't think that that's true, because I don't think it's very convenient, because Imagine being married to this cunt. Right? Everyone says that Marnie got married for papers, right? And it's true, she did. But not for residency papers. One night, Arno offered her a fucking cigarette rolling paper, and she was so easy, she went, yeah, fuck it, that'll do.
Arno doesn't smoke. Anyway, Stuart, every Friday, you can find him. He's playing Dungeons and Dragons, right? I'm like, what is it? Do you have a woman in your dungeon, or do you just have dragon breath, you know? Just trying to make friends, you know. It's a good way when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons to imagine that you actually own property for once. Imagine that you actually own something. You're like, oh, I have a magic potion from a witch. And it's like, no, it's acid, and it's bleeding through your pocket into your butt cheeks. You don't even own the stage that you're on. Like, even when you're performing, you're just screaming at us. I'm like, if I wanted to be yelled at by a drunk Scottish person, I would just shit in a kilt.
That was my birthday, actually. Marnie does a great service to society. A lot of people don't know this. She actually does a great service to society. Because she's fucked so many dudes, and she's given them all the thrill of being a paedophile without actually having to fuck any kids. So Marnie, keep doing what you're doing and keep fucking everyone you can, and the whole world will be fine.
I've been married for 2 years, thank you.
Irrelevant.
At least I look young. Stuart is 25. Oh my God. Stuart looks like a war veteran. He looks like a war veteran. I'm like, did you fight the war on drugs or the war on hygiene? Either way, you're losing. Right? I'm like, thank God your nickname for Stuart is Stew, because you look like you smell like soup.
Fucking love soup.
I need a hairnet for your beard.
Hey, here's the thing. I went through Marnie's social media history trying to find material. I think I'm on some sort of list now, actually, because, you know, she looks like a child. But it all started to make sense because I looked up her Facebook profile, and she has one interest listed there, and one interest only. Men! And also, she grew up in Dallas, Texas. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Dallas, sometimes referred to as D-Town. D-Town, a place that Marnie has been to a lot of fucking times. Is that right?
Yeah, sure. But for the record, you know, I go back and forth. Anyway. There you
Last
go.
joke.
All right. Yeah, so one of Stuart's favorite bands is this band called Daughter, which is ironic because he'll never have one. He's also never allowed near an elementary school. There's my one pedophile joke. There you go. There you go. No, it's crazy. You guys, it's not that just Stuart would be a bad dad, it's that he physically can't have children. It's because Stuart and his sperm are exactly alike. They both don't work. I just want to say one more thing. You are such a fucked up Scottish person that I literally saw him try to use a bagpipe as a crack pipe once.
Hey, speaking of don't work, this has been filmed and it's going to get put online. So if there's anyone from the IRS or immigration watching, Marnie lived here illegally for 4 years, so get the fuck out of here.
And I made more money without it. I don't know. I tried. I made more money than you do.
Selling
Maybe
your body
it's
and making money.
Yeah, you looked at my Instagram, but only for a spank bank. There you go.
Wasn't worth it at all. So look, I'll finish it. A sad story. Tragically, a few years ago, Marnie got her face mauled by a dog, right?
It's
it was
true.
Tragic. It was really, really tragic because the poor dog got close to Marnie's face. And it got so excited, it mistook Marnie's face for another dog's vagina. And the funny thing is that after the dog attacked her face absolutely looked like a dog's vagina. But it's so great to see that you're doing so well and your face is almost back to normal now. Now your face looks like what happens if meth did meth.
And you would know.
I love drugs.
There we go. Should we
Alrighty, that's it. Is that it?
Yeah, we're gonna do drugs right now.
That was adorable.
That was adorable. And you owe me $5.
I do owe you $5. He's never gonna fucking get it.
I'll never get it.
No,
You'll have to make it first.
I'm sorry. Which one of us is currently employed as a writer?
It's you.
Yeah.
Actually, can I borrow $5?
Yeah.
I really need that $5.
He actually watched the battles ahead of time just so he could make that bet to make $5.
I did not. I certainly did not.
The first thing that struck me before either of them started with their amazing first jokes was the immense size difference. And my first thought was, man.
It's all about size with you.
I'm a size queen. What can I say?
My God.
No, my first thought was, Stewart is going to have to navigate this very carefully. Because if he comes across too aggressive, like he is way bigger than her physically. And it was... And because I've seen that before where you watch a guy and he gets a little too aggressive when there's a woman on stage. I'm sure you've experienced it. And you're like, oh shit, and the audience turns on you and you're like, I didn't even. But Stewart has such a silly energy that she ended up being way more like physically commanding of the stage.
You almost felt sympathy for Stewart after.
But in the best fucking way. Like
yes,
they both
they
were so complimentary in energies and yeah, I thought that was one of the funnest and most interesting things about it.
Yeah, totally agree. The stage picture was fun, and they knew it.
Yes.
They knew.
Yep, it was a conscious choice.
Yes. Yeah, they knew how the other person was going to play. Yeah, and I don't know if they've been friends for a long time. It felt like there was a friendship there, and those often make the best battles. And those were two of the best opening jokes I can remember hearing in a while. Like,
yes.
It was a fun battle across the board, but when I heard those first two jokes, I was like, this could be like, this is on track. If it stays at this pace, this is an all-time battle. And it lost a little bit of steam, and they, because they're both really good joke writers, I think we can all get a little greedy and want to pack in a bunch. And they're both so charming, too, that they can get away with it, kind of, because you do want to hear them talk and describe the other person. And, the Einstein joke, incredible, just incredible. The STDs joke, incredible. Stewart, and the homeless joke from Marnie. The Einstein joke, but the homeless, her opener with that was a really nice opener. It was a great way to get there, to describe them without the sort of classic, like, thank you, so-and-so, or whatever, that get used a lot. And, like, everybody does them, they work. So, like, but it was a really fun, interesting way to do that, accomplish that same type of thing, but without the same avenue to get there, Yeah, they're both clearly very funny. And there was another thing where they were just listening, and sometimes it's just like a one word. I can't remember the joke Marnie made, but then Stewart said, irrelevant. And it was just, sometimes the audience just loves knowing the fact that you're listening and have something and being present and rebutting something. And then Marnie came back with the 25-year-old thing, and so she was listening and present and having fun and hit right back, and it was so great. Yeah. Really, really great.
I love both of their energies, and I look forward to seeing much more from both of them.
Yeah, me too.
All right, we ready for our last battle?
Let's do it.
All right, this last battle features Yoki Yu, who is Chinese, and Jamie Lenner, who's from New York. So let's check out Yoki Yu versus Jamie Lenner.
Wow, I'm excited. Yoki here, Yoki Yu, she hosts an open mic called Trauma Mic, where she asks audience members to share their trauma on stage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started a mic called Trauma Mic for anyone who's been to one of Yoki's shows. I'm kidding. No one goes to Yoki's shows.
Ouch, that hurts, Jamie. I mean, looking at you so precious, I felt like when God created you, he outsourced it to China. And the children in the factory, they only had enough material to make the nose of the sex doll. Just brilliant, you know?
Thank you. At least I'm a sex doll. It's a compliment there. Yoki comes from a Chinese family, and I come from a Jewish family. So we both have overbearing parents who are now disappointed in us. The difference is when I lost the piano competition, I got a consolation penny. And when Yoki lost, she got locked in the attic. They forced her to listen to so much Beethoven, she also became deaf. Tone deaf.
Well, speaking of our parents, Jamie, I feel like, your voice is so high-pitched. It sounds like a spoon stuck in a blender with celery juice and your dad's cum. Wait, hold on. Your dad was absent.
He also doesn't come.
With you, no.
Oh, boy. Man. Oh, gosh. That was dark, but at least you gave it a happy ending, Yoki.
He over-tipped me. He was happy about that, yes.
Yoki came out recently as polyamorous, which I think is really brave, right, you guys? Super brave. Let's hear it for Yoki. Yeah, it's fucking awesome, because polyamorous is a really hard word to say in a Chinese accent.
It's very, very much so. Thank you, Jamie. And I appreciate your awareness for foreigners, because if I was ever into politics, I would draw inspiration from Jamie's pussy for immigration policies. It's open for all nations, 24/7, and it's always ready to host large groups of men in desperate situations.
Thanks,
Very
Yoki.
inspiring, Jamie.
No, I appreciate it. I'm just curious, if you're here, who's giving massages on the beach right now?
Your mom took a course from me.
Yoki has a boyfriend who's 13 years older than her, although she calls him her toy boy. It's true, and that's because he was actually built in an overseas factory by unpaid child workers. She thinks she has daddy issues, but I think she has big brother issues.
I do. It's the same factory you were made, remember?
It's a good factory.
But Jamie, looking at you, just so sexy, I often find myself salivating around you. Because looking at your small face and your high-pitched voice, it reminds me of my grandma's Chihuahua. And it was delicious.
Last joke?
Especially the vagina part.
Oh, boy. It's good. People said I should talk about how, because Yoki's Chinese, she started COVID. I think that's super fucked up, right, guys? That's obviously not true. Yoki didn't start COVID because she's Chinese. She started it because she's a slut.
True, it was. I ate too much pussy, one too much.
I'm just saying, before your next orgy, don't eat as many bats.
True, especially one bat that looks like you, so should avoid that.
All right, Kanye East.
Nice. Jamie, I admire Jamie because she is an activist for human rights, women's rights. You know, you can see her face on posters of pro-choice campaigns. It says, "Do not attempt home abortion because the coat hanger might catch your nose."
Holy shit.
Oh man.
Put too hard, Jamie. Put too hard.
One fell apart a bit. Must have been made in China.
Alrighty, that's it.
What a great ending. That was a little sniper shot that Jamie slipped in there at the end. That was fun.
That was fun.
It had some good moments and some not so good moments, and then some really great moments.
It was interesting when they were doing that. Yoki had made the joke about like blender and cum and all that stuff, and you could see like the ship going down a little bit. You could see like the plane was going down. And everybody was like it just, the interplay went for a while, and like everybody was like, oh, this is dicey. And then Jamie like came with the happy ending joke, and it pulled the whole thing up right at the end. And that's great. That's great listening, and it's harder to do. The thing that's impressive about that is it gets harder to do the more it feels like the plane is going down. Because it gets harder to listen because you're like you're
in panic mode.
You're in panic mode.
And your brain is going through your Rolodex of jokes of like, should I change it? Should I change it? Should I change it?
Yeah.
Instead of like being present and in the moment and writing the ship with a moment-based joke.
Yeah, and it saved. I think the battle could have turned there. Like, I mean, it was still would have been fun because they're fun and funny, but it was just a great moment where it was like, oh, these two. I think when things start to go south, the audience wonders, are we going to be taken care of in this? And once they know that they can trust you up there to make jokes that are going to go, places that, are dark and all that stuff, and you can take care of them in it, then they're like, I'm on board. I'm with you. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think they both did a really good job of supporting each other.
Yeah.
And like even when like Jamie made that really great happy endings joke, and then Yoki came back with the I taught your mom took my class on the beach giving hand jobs, which was fun. And like
Yoki did a few interesting things that are helpful as a battler and are smart moves. She started with the China sex doll. She brought up China first
a lot,
and her go ahead. Sorry.
No.
She did. Paige Wesley is great at this. Like the thing that you might hit, she's gonna either sidecar a joke onto what you're saying, and then you're kind of peas in a pod. Whatever you're saying doesn't hit quite as hard because she's got a joke that's gonna kind of latch onto it. And then she's you're riding in that joke together, and like instead of hitting her full force, it's like, oh, I'm taking your energy and I'm gonna run with it now. Yoki did that really, really well. Groups of men, desperate situations was a great joke. She always felt ready for what was coming. She never felt like out of pocket. She was ready with the comeback. She was present. She felt like she's done. It felt like she's done this a lot.
Yeah, I got the same feeling. Like I loved her outsourced. Like God outsourced her. I thought the punchline could have hit harder if it had been a different one, because the setup was so interesting, and it's a premise that I've never heard, and it was like it felt like such a rich mine of like you can go anywhere with this. Mm-hmm. Like God outsourced your creation. That is fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
and so mean.
Yeah,
and then to add on to the Yoki making the jokes about herself and taking the power away, like the eat dogs joke. Mm-hmm. Fucking, I did not see that coming. I was like, where is this going? And then she went there, and I'm like, oh, this is incredible. Like, and it 100% took the power away from Jamie, because it's hard. Like now, if you're making racist jokes, it's already been done. It's already been addressed, and so it almost can make you look even more racist because you're like piling on.
Well, and they both hit. It was they both did kind of a good job at that too, like because Yoki was making a lot of Jewish jokes, like she was going there a lot, and I think they both made that obviously up there. Those jokes are part of what we do, it's part of like, this is the forum where like we're in a safe place to make jokes that you can't really do elsewhere, and like everybody's agreed, hey, we're gonna go there, we're gonna have fun with these things. And this is, they say, I've talked to Pat about this, I think I've talked to you about this too, that like what I love about Roast Battle, they said like some scholars believe that boxing came about, and I'm gonna go off fucking the res right now. You're like, oh no,
our producer's like, bro, there's football on
there's
right
football
now.
There's football going on. That boxing came about during the Industrial Revolution because people weren't working outside as much anymore. They were working in factories, and so it was like men weren't out there being men anymore, so they needed an outlet, and so that's why boxing became popular. And then in the 90s and early 2000s, UFC, as things, you couldn't get in fights in school anymore, you couldn't do these things, you couldn't, it became important, or people wanted an outlet, so then UFC blew up, where you could do these things in a safe way where people have agreed, and then I think the more that speech is like kind of curtailed, the more like this avenue of people to like have fun with each other in a no holds barred but agreed upon safe
consensual.
way. I think it makes Roast Battle even more important because of that. That's my TED Talk.
I like it.
Thanks.
I like it.
But they were both very, very
Also, I
funny.
missed that Yoki said she was Jewish. I just thought she was making a bunch of jokes about her nose. So I didn't.
That Jamie was Jewish?
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
So that is part of.
Also, I have no idea what a consolation penny is. I got to look that up. What the fuck's a consolation penny?
I thought she just made it up. Do you think it's a real thing? Like it's something that like New York.
Oh, I didn't know if I didn't know if people actually got like a consolation penny.
Yeah, I thought maybe that was like a New York thing. Oh, so she was doing her own.
Hey,
I mean, kudos, Jamie. Hell, that was very well done then.
I know a lot about the mid 1800s boxing, but not I guess about consolation pennies and that shit.
You heard it here, folks. Well, that was Yoki Yu versus Jamie Leonard. So that wraps up our Barcelona preview. My co-host today was the incredible Doug Fager. Doug, where can people find you?
Not very Roast Battle. I took off I'm off of Instagram. I don't.
So nowhere,
it's
folks.
Just awful. Shit's awful. Instagram's awful. I don't need it. I don't want it. Thinking about deleting Twitter, but it's at Doug Fager. I don't really care about my Twitter either.
Do you have a P.O. box where people could mail you correspondence?
I was thinking about. I was like, look, you can have my email. It's at dougfager at gmail.com.
At Doug Fager.
If you want to book me on something,
DougFager
just shoot me
@gmail.com.
a fucking email. If you're some weirdo, then don't email me. But like, other than that, yeah.
All right.
You'll see me.
And you can find me at Sarah Keller07 on all social media. Follow Pat Barker at Pat Barker Comedy. And we'll see y'all next week.